We are on the afternoon break. Today is Thursday. And y'all, I have got to break down for you what just happened. We just had a bombshell upstairs with the witness. Her name is Brianna, but she goes by Vana, whatever the hell they call her, okay? She was just on the stand. This morning, Nicole Westmoreland continued her cross. I've got to break this down for you. Come on in as you join the chat. Let me know where you are watching from as I give you this quick breakdown, and then I'm going to head right back up because we got some more tea that they're covering. Not child. You're not children. You're clearly not children. Child. This was, as you can see, I am dressed like the Queen of Zamunda. Whatever you like, because I'm just feeling festive. All right, coming on in from Detroit. Let's see the DMV. When I come in like this and I just like run out from the courthouse, I'm not able to set the time very much because we generally don't know exactly when lunch will be. Today we started late. We actually did not start until 11, so that's why it's wild. Today's witnesses, they just finished up with Vana. That was the friend that was dangled on the top of the building. They just finished up with her. That's what I'm going to summarize. Then we're going to have somebody named Ignatios. We're going to have somebody with a Hispanic name, a guy. I think he's also related to the hotel, but we're not sure. And then we're going to have Jane. Jane is going to start this afternoon. We got the Jane Doe, honey. Here's the thing. I love when people who are not in the courtroom, as I've been daily, when they're not in the courtroom, they come to my page and they say, the defense did a great job. You don't know what you're talking about. You're a liar. You're a liar. Okay. Yesterday I broke down. Now, look, if you're new here, I think Diddy is guilty. I think he's done, well, let me clarify. I think he's done a whole bunch of stuff. But when I break this down, I'm doing it solely from a lawyer's perspective who has worked on both the prosecution side and the defense side. While I've never been a criminal prosecutor, I've been a civil plaintiff's attorney. So I represented people like Cassie. I represented victims of R. Kelly. I was the first one to file a civil lawsuit. Hey, girl. Civil lawsuit against R. Kelly in New York law under the same set of laws that these victims are now seeking justice under, okay? So that's where my perspective comes from. So if you're tuning in on a day where you feel like I'm more towards one side or the other, what I'm telling you is that overall my belief is that the way that the testimony was elicited or the points that were made are favoring one side for the other, and then I will always give my thoughts on what the other side can do better to elicit more. Let me tell you. Basically, here was the bombshell. So, Vana, whatever her name is, the gay lady. She's a gay lady, okay? I'm going to call her the gay lady because I don't know her name. And she don't mind. She wants everybody to know she's gay. She's got a girlfriend. She's here at court with her girlfriend. She looks very strong. She looks very poised, doing her best to be confident. The overall, I think, issue with her testimony and how Nicole Westmoreland, which is the defense attorney, has been able to shift how reliable she's looking. Hit that subscribe and hit that like as you join. The issue is a lot of times she'll struggle with answers to simple questions. When witnesses do that, it makes it seem like they're lying even when they're not. I know she is probably stressed. She is probably nervous, understandably. So in my view, I would not, and if I were a juror, if you take a moment to say, wait, can you repeat the question? The problem is some of those questions were kind of simple. So for example, Nicole Westmoreland, prosecution, that's the black lady on the prosecution. Now remember, I've described her, I said, her tone, her poise, she was like, if she was your black mama, you would always pick up your toys, baby. Would be no toys on the floor. Your room would be clean at all times. You would always make A's. If you made a B or a B plus, you might be prepared for a butt whooping, but she probably don't have to whip you. She probably just got to look at you. Hold on. Oh, it's a little commotion. It's some hollering. Hold on, let's see. Y'all, it's always some ish. Yesterday, somebody was getting arrested, and he right back over here today, so let him out. Okay, here we go. Back to the bombshell. So, for example, they asked her on cross. Nicole questioned the gay lady, Vana, and said, "Isn't it true that you said you continued to be friends with Cassie, and that because you weren't worried about Diddy, and that those injuries really didn't come from him?" And or something like that. It was a compound question. She answers it by saying, part of that is true and part of it is not, or something like that. I was like, wait. The question was, isn't it true you continue to be friends with Cassie because you were worried about her, but that those injuries didn't come from Diddy. And she said something like, part of that is true, part of it is not. I guess the part that was untrue is that the injuries really did come from him. But it was such a weird answer. Now, really what should happen is the prosecution, that's where the prosecution objects. The objection is called form. You object to form when the question asked is like a multi-part question, where a yes shouldn't necessarily be a yes to both things. Oh, Christy Lee, thank you. It says, thanks for sharing your knowledge. Because of the jury reactions at times, do I still think they'll find him guilty? There's still time. Oh, there's still time. And remember, there's multiple things. I give the best wrap up. Thank you, clear and concise. The other issue, though, with Miss Thing's testimony, y'all, is that I feel like the biggest issue is, did they even really need her in the first place? I felt like the most poignant moment from her testimony was her testifying about how she was dangled off the building, but he's not being charged for dangling off the building. So prosecution wants to go here. Now, I thought perhaps it was to elicit testimony of tampering with a witness or perhaps bribery, in that he used his producer, Rob, to try and get her to drop the charges, to make it go away, all of that kind of stuff. But I also think it could be to show how the enterprise operates, and that what Diddy does is that he tries to use workers, his staff, his enterprise members, to make the stuff go away. I don't know. If that was the goal, I don't think that this information helped, because this particular witness with the bombshell that has happened today really diminished her credibility, including if the goal was to show that, this is how the enterprise works, they do his dirty work, he's running and operating like a mafia boss head. I get it. But here, the challenge was, it's now looking like, hey there, hey Dennis, come on, you can say hi, come on, this way, on my side. Dennis is gonna say hi to y'all. Dennis, quit playing with these people. They told me I got to get to the point now. Y'all, I took my Adderall for y'all this morning. All right, y'all, this is Dennis. He is with the Hip Hop Inquirer, right?
Absolutely.
Hip Hop Inquirer on YouTube. Check out his coverage. He's here every day. He's got footage. He's got video. He's got all the nine. All right, but we're gonna get to the tea.
And what, can I say this?
Yeah.
And my metadata will show I'm here.
Shut up. I ain't got there yet. Okay, hush. The bombshell was this. Yesterday, they had in her testimony, Nicole walked her in. Here's what you do on Cross. It's like you walk somebody into a room, and then you shut the door, and you right behind them. You slam them in that room, right? You walk them, and you say, come on, take 2 steps back, take 2 steps back, take 2 more steps, bam, slam the door on. That's what Nicole did. Nicole walked her into testifying and confirming that the incident, the dangling incident, occurred September 16th. September 25th or whatever it is, September 25th, whatever day it was, of 2016. She said, this is when it happened, correct? And this would happen, correct? And this photo, it was a photo with metadata. This is, the metadata here says that it was September 26th, correct? Yes. And then Nicole puts on the screen a receipt from the Trump Hotel in New York. The incident, the dangling, was in LA. That it happened at the Trump Hotel in New York, and that he was staying at the Trump Hotel from like September 24th to the 29th. Her date that she swore up and down pursuant to her metadata and other was the 26th. It made her look like a lie. The whole courtroom, y'all, that I was in went, ooh. Now let me tell you, there's 2 courtrooms. There's the main and there's the overflow. I was in the overflow today because I got there late, because that's my life. Let me tell you, this is the difference. I'm telling y'all, I'm putting y'all there. This is the difference between the overflow and the regular. The overflow is like when you go in the hood to watch a Tyler Perry movie and everybody's screaming at the screen and stuff. That's what it's like in the overflow room, okay? People get with that, ooh, ah. It's like you're watching a fight. It's very lively. But then if you go into the main courtroom, because the judge is in there and he wants decorum at all times, in the main courtroom, in there, people act like they are at a white Catholic church, okay? Nobody is enjoying themselves. They're not having fun. They're silent. There are no responses, none of the above. But the bombshell was that this girl stuck with the fact that this incident happened September 26th, Nicole Westmoreland puts on the screen a receipt from the Trump Hotel, and then Nicole walked you through it. She showed that on the 24th, somebody ordered breakfast. On the 25th, there was all this other food. On the 26th, there was some more stuff. Whatever the date was, it was one of the dates where all this stuff was being ordered at the Trump. Now, here's the thing, though. The receipt did not say Diddy at the top. It said Frank Black. However, that was Diddy's aliases. Are there monitors in the overflow room? Yeah, there's monitors so we can see it all, we can hear it all. We see the evidence on the screen all the time. Yeah, I like going in there because I be sitting next to Mim, cutting up. Sometimes Armand be in there. He about his business. He be looking, but he be make them faces. Listen, the room erupted. What's my sign? I am a Capricorn, but my astrologist told me to tell y'all I'm a Sagittarius because somebody says, so I'm confused. Another guy that says he's inside the courtroom said the defense found she lied about the balcony thing because she wasn't in the same state. No, we're not saying anything different. It wasn't that she wasn't in the same state. It's Diddy wasn't in the same state. But come on over. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, y'all, as you come on in here. She was in California. That was not the dispute. Think about it. The defense won't have proof necessarily of where she is. What the defense provided was proof that Diddy was not in California. He was at the Trump Tower on that day. But more than that, somebody told me it was the Bad Boy reunion tour at Prudential Center, which is in Newark. So that's a flub, baby. That's a flub on the part of the prosecution. Now, I'm trying to figure out how the hell could the prosecution let that happen. Now, you have to remember, what did Diddy ask for? A speedy trial. So many people say Diddy was dumb for asking for that. And I'm like, look, that man wanted to get the hell up out of there, okay? He can't make bail. The reason you asked for a speedy trial is because there was like 3 million, there was something crazy, like 3 gigabytes worth of data. It was something obnoxious like that, where it was simply just too much data for the prosecution to be able to go through all of it. So flubs like this were bound to happen. In other words, and here was what was crazy. That Trump Plaza receipt was government's evidence. The government had admitted that evidence in at some point regarding this trial. So that was government evidence that was there where they could have easily saw that one of two things happened, y'all. Either Diddy was in fact, if there was a Bad Boy reunion tour, he was there doing that. And then what it likely was is the girl, the gay lady, Vanna, I'm gonna just call her Vanna. I don't like calling her the gay lady no more. That's rude. Even though she is very happy and she's very gay. And she's good looking for those kind of, if that's your type. Anyway, either that or Vanna just got her date wrong. That can happen. That absolutely can happen. In which case she shouldn't have stuck to it. The problem was this. What they should have done to and I understand, prosecution at this point, you're not asking her nothing you're not certain you know the answer to. On rehabilitation, what the prosecution tried to do is have her acknowledge she wasn't sure about the date, but she was sure she was dangled. But that the metadata, though, still said September 26th. I may be saying the wrong date in September, but you're following me. Whatever that date was, let's stick with 26th. Then the metadata said the 26th. But the thing is, if she had said, well, I took multiple pictures. Hey, y'all. Oh, yeah, I'm about to go up. Thank y'all. If she had said, hey, look, I took multiple pictures, or I didn't take the picture the same day, or more than likely what happens is you get it. Wait a minute. Wait. Something is just dawning on me. They showed the bruise. That was not a fresh bruise. That bruise had been developing. You know how with a fresh bruise, it'll be, this bruise was, I'm going to see if I get a picture of that bruise and put it up for you guys so you can see it too. What she could have said is, in other words, it happened on one day. I took multiple pictures. This particular picture was not same day. She never said that though. And the prosecution did not elicit that from her. In addition, she says she went to a chiropractor. Well, I do personal injury. I do that all the time. What the defense needs to do if they want to try to rehabilitate that issue, get a record from a chiropractor as to what day she saw. Because she did not see the chiropractor on the same day. In fact, the chiropractor gave her a neck brace that she subsequently wore and submitted a photo. But if you can get the chiropractor, because I'll tell you what, every time I've ever sent an accident client to a chiropractor, they go to the chiropractor, the first note, I'm treating this patient who suffered an injury on such and such date. Boom.
So let me go back into the
Such and
court.
such date. That could redeem her. But that hasn't happened. But again, there's also a chance that with Frank Black being the name on it, it may not mean Diddy himself was there at the hotel ordering the foods, etc. It could have been that's who booked the name, that was the name under. But again, if there was proof that he was doing the Bad Boy reunion tour over there, then you can't get past that. What you have to do is establish that Vanna don't know which day it was, and she was just agreeing with the other. But what she messed up on is, you know good and well, when you got injuries, you might take pictures of them multiple days, right? Hold on, let me see. Thank you for that super chat. Thanks for your knowledge and commitment. Oh, thank you, Coach. I really appreciate it. Are they going to do redate? No, they are done with her, y'all. They are done with her. That's why I'm saying, was she caught in a lie? I don't believe she willfully lied about it happened. I believe it happened, but I do believe she got her date wrong. And the problem was, you don't sit up there and agree with stuff like that when you're not sure. And she was a witness who consistently said, I don't recall, or I'm not sure. Baby, that should have been one of the things you didn't recall. I don't recall the exact date. I know it was in September. You can do that. You can get there from that. Y'all follow me? I'm gonna look at this. I would remember what day I was dangled off the thing for. Well, and then Miss Nicole. Nicole gonna say, hold on, I wrote it down for you because y'all gonna hear this. I'm gonna act it out. Nicole gonna say, that was a cross. Hold on. She says, they said, isn't it true this was a lie? She said, my answers are the same in theory. In theory? Girl, what theory are we is it a lie or not? That's the kind of stuff that I'm saying she said that made her sound crazy. And then there was a sidebar. Yeah, there were terabytes of data. And then she concluded with, girl said, hold on. Wait. She concluded with, this was it, because it was Recross. She said, and then on the Recross, then they went to Cross, y'all, this is important. Remember yesterday, I was telling you that on redirect, which is when the prosecution gets to ask questions again after the Cross. So we had the Cross. I'm not telling you when the prosecution was trying to redeem her. I told y'all yesterday, I said one way they may be able to redeem her is they need to make clear to the jury that when Nicole was trying to make it seem like she had lied and not told the truth and said one thing to the government and then said another thing on the stand, that what Nicole was comparing was not actual verbatim words of hers. It was summarized notes from the interviews that were done with the government, right? They're summarized notes. Oh, girl does not create the notes, the government does. Remember I said, those notes are so unreliable, they're not even allowed into evidence. Now, Nicole can present them to her and say, I'm going to show you this to allow you to refresh your recollection. And sometimes she'd read it and she'd be like, no, that's not what I said. I never told the government that. Nicole could not then put those notes into evidence because they're not reliable. And I told you, I said, the government needs to make clear to the jury that the discrepancies in those notes are not the witness lying. It's the fact that those notes were beyond her control. Do you know the government did that? That's what they tried to do today on what was called redirect. They said, specifically, yesterday there was testimony that was comparing your testimonies to some notes. Isn't it true? You've never seen those notes before, correct? Isn't it true? You did not write those notes, correct? Isn't it true? You did not verify that those notes were accurate, correct? And that that you don't know anything about the accuracy of those notes, correct? Y'all, it was literally what I told you they needed. So for those people who are like, you're a liar. You're a liar. First of all, shut up, because you're not here. But secondly, I'm literally saying, here's what I think could help tomorrow. And here, in fact, the prosecution did just that. They tried to use that to rehabilitate, to say she wasn't lying, that the government has notes that don't have nothing to do with her, that she can't control. And that's what the government is using to compare testimony. And those notes are they're written either by prosecutors or by investigators that are in the room with the prosecutor. In addition, when they tried to rehabilitate her, they said prior to Cassie's lawsuit, you included statements, you and her talked about statements regarding the balcony, and that Cassie asked you, could she use your name? She said yes. And what did you told her? I told her no. And so what they were trying to establish is that she had no idea that it was going to be included in Cassie's lawsuit. And they established that after she didn't read those accusations until after the lawsuit was public. When she read them, she saw they were not accurate. In other words, Cassie's depiction of what happened wasn't accurate. She said at that point, she actually contacted Cassie's representative and told them, hey, these are incorrect. Remember, at this point, it don't matter because Cassie done got her money. There's no need to amend a complaint or any of that. And then the prosecution was also able to establish that she and Cassie never got together to lie. And that her facts are different from Cassie's facts because her facts are the truth. Cassie's facts were based on her not even saying that it was okay to include her situation in Cassie's lawsuit. So she said on testimony, Vanna said, there are certain details that she'll never forget, like him holding her over the balcony. There are other details that over time she may have forgotten. And, the other thing, remember, they made a big old stink about where it was that Diddy had said, I'm the devil, I'm going to kill you. I'm the devil, I could kill you. That part. There was one version that said it happened at a photo shoot, another version that it was in an apartment or that in New York, and then a third version that it happened as he was dangling her over the balcony. Now, first of all, I think it was Tyrone Blackburn, her prior attorney, that said it happened dangling over the balcony. At the end of the day, someone dangling you over the balcony is absolutely them communicating that they feel like they could unalive you, right? So I don't feel like that's not a dishonest thing. But what they did establish is that the defense tried to say, if that really happened, why didn't you tell the government in your first conversation? The government did good. They said, isn't it true that you asked the questions that you answered what the government asked? And she said yes. In other words, if the government hadn't asked her that in the first conversation or the second conversation or the third, it wasn't a lie to not volunteer that, and that is true. I can tell you, meeting with the government is nerve-wracking. And when you go, you're always instructed by your attorney. Only ask what's answered. Only answer what's asked of you. So that was good that they tried to rehabilitate and say, hey, it wasn't that she was lying. It wasn't that she was intentionally omitting anything or that later voluntarily suggesting this fact. It was that over the course of multiple interviews, that's how that came out. She also established she did not write the demand letters, and she reviewed most of them, but that didn't happen until later. And they established that once she found that the demand was inaccurate by alleging SA by Diddy, that was when she fired Tyrone Blackburn. She said, basically, she fired Tyrone because he lied about her being SA'd. She was not SA'd by Diddy. I think that goes to her credibility, y'all. And they established that she told the government he did not grab her boobs such that she was bruised, as stated in the complaint. She told the government that did not happen, which is why on direct, when the government was asking her questions, they never elicited that because they're not trying to elicit false testimony. And then they established that aside from the metadata, she did not have, of that photo, she had no independent memory of the exact date. That's what they're trying to say. The problem was Nicole already walked her back up in the room and slammed the door in her face by having her say, yes, this was the day. Yes, this was the picture. And she admitted to evidence 2 photos. One photo was the bruise, no metadata. Second photo was the bruise with metadata. The problem is, by her not saying, oh, I took this days later, or I'm not sure if it was the exact day, it makes it look like she's not telling the truth. So you see that challenge that we have there? So there's still room. But, and then the prosecution said, regardless of the exact date, do you have any doubt that Diddy dangled you over the balcony? No. Let me tell you this about that. I do believe Diddy dangled her over the balcony, and I do believe her date was incorrect. The reason I feel confident he did, in fact, dangle her is Diddy, they were literally in mediation. They were in talks. They were going back and forth. Diddy would never do that if it never happened. Diddy had, remember, Rob Holiday called her. Diddy FaceTimed her and talked to her about it. If it never happened, the FaceTime would have been something along that, you lying and you coming up missing. it wouldn't be, don't do this. Like, listen, we can work this out. It happened. It just didn't happen on the day he was at the Trump. That is my thoughts. Now, Recross. All right. Oh, baby, Recross. On Recross, Nicole tried to say, isn't it true that all your injuries happened on the same day? The girl said, now she could have said it. Said, I didn't take notes. And she said something like, I don't recall. She didn't say, no, they did not. Well, that's not true. All the injuries did happen on the same day. The issue is, what day was it? But she said, isn't it true all the injuries happened on the same day? She said, yes, as in the neck. Hold on, a bus is coming by. Also, they said, isn't it true? They tried to, remember, the prosecution tried to distance her from the accusation of SA by saying, once you found out that was an untrue allegation, you fired your lawyer, correct? Tyrone Blackburn. She said, yes. Hold on. But Nicole came fresh out the gate on what's called Recross. This was the last set of questions Nicole asked. On Recross, she said, isn't it true your new lawyers filed the same allegation? She said, yes. In other words, you might have fired Tyrone for making that allegation, but your new lawyers have not corrected the allegation. Uh-oh, that's a problem. Then she said all the injuries happened in the same day. Then Nicole went into this and says, isn't it true that this never happened, that you were never dangled over that balcony, that those injuries have nothing to do with puppy? She said, no, that's not true. She said, isn't it true you don't want to say anything to mess up your lawsuit? Isn't it true you are seeking $10 million and you don't want to mess up the opportunity for you to be a 10 millionaire? She said, that's not true. She said, no further questions. A 10 millionaire, y'all. Because she said, because the girl tried to say, no, I want justice. She said, and this is what she said finally. She said, no, I care about justice. She said, and justice for you is becoming a millionaire. No further questions. Girl, and sat down. And sat down. I said, oh, Lord, y'all. That is the morning. Okay, that is, I'm tired just telling you this story. I need a beverage. It's going to be water because I got to go back up there. All right, let me know your questions below. Hit that subscribe. Share this, share this, share this. All right, thanks, guys. Going back up to the courtroom. Bye, y'all.